Yeah, it is going to be that kind of day,
It's
y'all.
the weather.
Welcome to DVTV in Space. It's Friday, June 2nd. Happy Gay Pride Month. Happy LGBTQA Pride Month.
Gosh, it's
And
already
don't forget the I.
Did I miss the I?
What do those stand for? IA?
Intersex.
Intersex and
Ally, I believe.
ally. I thought
We
it was
looked into that
and
too.
Yeah.
androgyny.
So that
or
means
I wasn't sure.
Shannon can be a part of our community if he's an ally?
Yeah,
Happy-
you are an
happy
ally,
Pride
aren't
Month.
you? Happy Pride. There you go.
Happy Pride Month, Shannon. Y'all, welcome to DVTV in Space and Pride Month
Yeah.
for the alphabet. So we're going to talk about a lot of things today. Let's get started. Let's talk a little bit about calendar events that are going on, and I'm going to let Richard, let me introduce everybody first. Tell it's been a while. Israel Luna on the end. He's back from his mini travels.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is Richard.
Richard Curtin, how are you?
Is that his name?
I was going to call him Richard
are you
Edna,
again?
but Richard Curtin.
Richard
That'll
Curtin,
work,
otherwise
too.
known as Edna Jean Robinson.
There we
yes.
go. Richard
Queen of the
Edna.
Trailer Park. Queen of the Trailer Park.
He was sitting in with us today, our special guest. We're
I'm
very
so glad to be here. Thank you very much.
glad.
Yay.
And another traveling woman is back, Brandy.
Yay, I'm so excited. I missed y'all very much.
She's very busy.
I'm very,
And-
very busy.
And I'm not very busy, but I'm here. I'm Tammy. I'm with the Dallas Voice. I'm the managing editor. Okay, we're going to talk a little bit about calendar of events, things that are going on this week. And I want to start first with the art exhibit, the Pride Month art exhibit at City Hall. And you were down there for the unveiling, so talk to us about that.
I was, I think it's historic, and we need to make sure it's supported, and we've got to go down there and look at it.
Okay.
And I think in the environment that we're in, we've got a lot of criticism that the young kids don't know our journey, and so
Can I ask what it is?
Sure.
What we're talking about?
It is the LGBT history exhibit it's on display at Dallas City Hall.
Ooh, okay.
Oh, that's
And,
Nice.
and it starts basically. I'm guessing because it's not in front of me and I don't see it, but I think it starts at like 1965,
Okay.
all the way to present day, and it focuses in on certain years of what was happening, what was going on, and what people were doing.
So this was
right
national-
here
oh, okay.
in Dallas.
Yeah, that's
I
a
was
local
about to ask
local
that,
history.
yeah.
Yes.
What is important about it is that it is what's been going on here, who were the players at that particular point in time, what was happening, and the evolution of the LGBT community right here in Dallas, Texas.
I think that's so important. I think, we lose a lot of the local history. We focus on national and we forget within our community there are these, risers and, things that going on, the fire clubs, all these things happening. And it's cool that they're doing this because in Texas right now, for Dallas to be doing this
Yep.
is really badass.
So
It's very important.
And I used to
Super
work
important.
at Union Jack, which is no longer on the Strip, but I worked there for 5.5 years, and I know that Union Jack was one of the first gay-owned businesses that was there that sort of helped get that started as a gay community, because I know Richard, Longstaff, who was the owner, he would tell me all of these stories, and it was really interesting where people would throw bricks through the front windows because he had 2 male mannequins in there.
Wow. And that's still happening today because a couple of years, was it last year when they threw something through the doors over there?
I don't think was necessarily an anti-LGBT hatred thing. I think that was
because Richard was in there and they didn't like him.
no. I think that was a drunk queen incident.
Was it? Okay.
I think that I had already been gone.
I think you were too.
I think I was
I
too.
think you were too.
You can't blame that on me. I think what's important about it is the evolution of what happened here in Dallas. The exhibit has the year that the Dallas Voice was founded, and different specific events throughout from 1965 to present day.
Oh, I wonder, who do they work with? Do they work with the Resource Center? Do you know who they worked with? To get
They
all
worked
this?
with the Dallas
down
Our Way.
Okay.
There.
And the archives. There are 3 organizations, and I'm sure they're listed in the current Dallas Voice right here on Instant Tea.
Page
But
6.
Dallas Our Way and the archives, North Texas University Archives.
Those were donated from the Resource Center because those
Exactly.
used to be the library. Okay.
My greatest criticism of it really yesterday was that I don't think that it highlights enough lesbian movement or drag queen movement, because I really feel that lesbians and drag queens got us through the AIDS epidemic.
Right, because
Absolutely.
lesbians a lot of the time they donated their blood, right?
Yeah.
And they were the caregivers when no one else was.
And I think
Yeah.
that was I think that was just totally left out.
Wow.
And some of it I sort of get. A little bit of it I sort of get, because the time frames are all in there. And so I think to highlight that, you have to find a year in order, to really kind of put it all together because of the way that they did it. There is a drag queen represented, and Deb Elder is in there, and there's a lot of prominent females. Rebecca Covell, there's a picture of her. So I don't want to be critical of it.
No,
I
but
want to praise it, and I want to make sure that people go there, and I want to see the realm expanded in the future.
you go.
Yeah, I think that's important too, because I remember when I was heavily involved with Life Walk and I was doing the Miss Life Walk pageants, every gay boy would come up to me and like, "You're a lesbian. I'm so excited to see you here. We don't have enough female representation." But I know that we've been there. It's just that we don't know our own history. And when things like this exclude, the lesbian experience in the gay male and HIV/AIDS experience, I mean, that, I become a token when I'm not, because there's a history
Absolutely.
of lesbians and women, helping.
There is, speaking as a storyteller, there's always something that gets left out. But I think, do you guys know Joe Elliott? Did you ever know Joe? You probably didn't know.
I know
You
the
knew
name,
Joe.
I knew Joe. Just yes,
Joe Elliott owned Jugs.
Jugs.
Okay.
I love
Yeah, that was
Jugs.
And
before I moved here.
Joe's
I
at the
love
Brick was named in her honor after she passed away. But Joe was here from the 60s, and she knew all the stories.
Wow.
And I would sit and talk with Joe, and I were good friends. We'd sit and talk, and she could tell you all these stories. She could tell you about Villa Fontana, which was somewhere down close to downtown over off Ross somewhere, and how you went in there.
Right near Flora.
Yeah. And you'd go in there and you'd be dancing, and the women were dancing, and the men were dancing together, and the women, and then they would flash a red light or something, and that meant here come the cops, and you had your designated opposite sex partner.
partner.
And
I've
it would
heard
switch.
That's amazing.
Is she still
And
alive?
no, Joe passed away some years ago.
Okay.
She had cancer, but
See,
and
in moments
heart
like that in
disease.
that era, it's really great to know that when you walk in, there's already like a procedure, or you're being taught that, and they say this is what you do, and just talk about the
It's
connections
taking care of yourself,
there,
each
taking
other.
care of each other. I'm sure there was this closeness that we probably lack today.
And so, that's one reason back in the day that the men and the women worked well together. And from what I understand, if people from other communities, even the big communities in New York or San Francisco, the big ones, they come here, and today even, a lot of times they're just astounded at how well the women and the men here work together.
I've heard
but
that.
we have a
Yeah.
history here. And we see separation, and there's always been this bar won't let women in, open-toed shoe rule, or the guys shouldn't go over here because they're going to get harassed. But all in all, I think that we've worked together much better.
Yeah,
than-
even coming from living in San Francisco, on the Castro, there aren't lesbian bars.
It's
They're
really-
completely separated.
And when my wife and I went, and we went into the bars and they were all men, and that's where she works at JR's, and I'm a gay boy in female drag,
All right.
trapped in female body. But it was completely separate, and we got looked at like it was like, what are you doing in here?
And you would think it being the gay mecca.
the mecca of everybody's like, oh, it's so inclusive. You feel like,
Right.
oh no.
No.
Mm-mm.
Well, there's and that's one of the Pride Month events. We got a lot of other things going on, and time goes so fast. Let's talk more about Pride Month rather than overall things. We just talked about the exhibit. On June the 7th, the city will be holding a ceremony, probably in the flag room at City Hall, to issue a Pride Month proclamation. I think they do that pretty much every June.
This is at
Yeah,
City
they
Hall?
used to do that at the White House too.
Nice.
I
Oh
was
yeah,
about
that's
to
right. Because they're
mention
not going to do
that.
it this year. They've
No.
Yeah.
all the celebrations
They're
are
not
now.
going.
You're
to do it.
kidding.
Nope, I read that this morning. I was
They
like,
have
you've got to
nothing.
be.
Yeah.
No Pride Month proclamation.
They're-
Now they did
Gay
Caribbean
America.
America.
Caribbean American Heritage Month. They have a proclamation for that.
And they
but
also
there's-
did Black Music Celebration Month.
Yes, they did. There's several proclamations for June, but not
Yes,
a Pride
but
proclamation.
not Pride.
You know, and they're taking all of the mentions of all of the website stuff. Of
So for all those
protections.
people who are like, Donald Trump isn't going to fuck with gay people, and he's doing it. I'm sorry. Sorry.
wrong.
Yeah,
Right.
he's not
Yeah.
doing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
just do a search for LGBT on their website, and there's
It's-
nothing.
Nothing.
We're
Right.
erased. We're being erased. So all those people who are like, you're fear mongering by getting married underneath Obama. No,
So
I'm not.
come out and help celebrate all
Yeah,
of these
you
gay
need-
events. And
You need
Right.
to come out and support all of everything that's going on in Dallas.
Okay, on June 11th, which is not this Sunday but next, there will be in Washington D.C. the Equality March for Unity and Pride. I think is the full name. It's in D.C. That's the national march. But they also, like we did with the Women's March in January, they want local marches, and we have marches that are happening here in Dallas. There will be a march in Fort Worth. There will be a march in Austin, and there will be a march, believe it or not, in Texarkana. They're going to have a unity march or equality march for unity and pride in Texarkana.
In
we find those-
Texarkana.
Can we find
Well,
those
how about
dates on
that?
your website, or is
You
it in,
certainly can.
Okay.
It all happens on the 11th.
Okay.
They're all taking place on June the 11th in concert. Not concert with music, but together, coordinated.
See, I would love to go to an event like in Texarkana because I'm sure that they would appreciate every extra body
I
that they
agree.
can get in
Yeah.
these smaller towns like that.
And then on June 24th, let me say this real quick. On June 24th, Queer Bomb is going to be having our June Pride Month celebration. Next Friday, I'm gonna try to have someone from the march, the Equality March organizing committee. I'm gonna try and have somebody here to come talk to us a little bit about that. And then before the Friday before Queer Bomb, I'm going to see if we can get Daniel or someone with Queer Bomb to come in and talk. So we'll talk about that more.
Nice.
Before we go to break, and it's time, and Israel's beeping at me. It's time for our first break. But I want to say during the first break, you're going to see a video. It's about 2 minutes that I shot yesterday morning around between 8 and 8:30 over at Rainbow Lounge. This doesn't show the fire. The fire was like 3 to 4 in the morning. But this shows you kind of the aftermath. So I want you to watch the video, and then when we come back, we'll talk about Rainbow Lounge and what happened and why that's important. Okay? Y'all come back.
Now.
You hear?
Okay, we're back, and I'm not sure what else you saw during the break because I don't have my computer here watching, but you did see the Rainbow Lounge video, and if you saw the video, you'll see that it's just basically a shell. And quite frankly, with the storm going on that we can hear right now, from the looks of those walls that I saw yesterday, that might not even be there anymore. I mean, it was on the verge of collapsing.
Well, I know I was on Facebook, and Larry the Fairy was on there, and he said that he was watching someone's live Facebook feed of it up in flames, and it was like 3:30 in the morning.
Yeah,
I
it was
think.
like early in
Yeah.
the morning.
I thought it was a joke.
Yeah.
But
No, it was
so
no.
it burned.
Yeah, I mean that's wake up, wake up, wake up! Rainbow Lounge is burned down, or it's on fire. Oh, great! I have to get up early, but I mean, I didn't have my phone, so I didn't know until like 6 in the morning. But I went on over there, and the fire was out by then. But I got there around 8. Fire was out, but they have it all blocked off, and there's no roof. It's just 4 brick walls, basically.
Do y'all hear that? I think it's Tina Turner. She's singing a song.
And
Sorry.
so it's gone, and it, like I said, the brick walls look like they were bowed out and leaning out, and huge cracks, probably about to collapse.
And were there
so.
was anybody in there?
No.
No,
No,
it was
okay, that's
closed. No
good.
one was in there.
I
No, but
think
there
that-
were people in the parking lot.
They
there were
saw
people,
it.
they had just left, and they were closed down, and they saw the smoke, and they called
They saw
the fire department shortly after.
Well,
They
see,
didn't
now-
even go back in.
Now the first thing I
No,
think
the
is,
doors were locked. The manager had
Right.
locked the door and gone, and
had
some
left.
employees were just they just finished closing up.
Yeah.
So
you
when
know?
I heard about it, the first thing I thought was, is this a hate crime or what? What's going on? So do they know?
I believe from what the fire chief has indicated, it was started by it's probably an electrical fire started by a faulty ice machine. And when I was there, I heard someone say that an employee had said like the week before, "Oh, we're having so much trouble with the ice machine. You know, we need to get it fixed." So
And there was the electrical was in the roof or in the ceiling area directly above it, above
that would
the
make
ice
sense.
machine, which was going to the ice machine, and the electrical fire
Yeah.
burned it down.
when you looked at the building or the shell there, you know they had a patio to one side and then towards the back, and you could see. Of course, that's you can't get up there. They've got it all roped off, but I could look through the little cracks and look in the back. And there was a hole busted in the fence towards the back patio, and you can't even see anything scorched. So I mean that's how hot and fast it burned. It just whoosh, it was gone.
So now is it like case closed? Like that's what did it, and they don't
That's
have to worry
what
about
I
like
believe
any
so. Yeah.
I believe.
person
Yeah,
or anything?
I believe so.
No, I
Okay,
don't believe
good.
there's any indication it was.
At least there's that. Now, are there any plans on what they're going to do with this now?
I was seeing during the break, the building obviously is owned by someone else. I can't remember the actual name of it. Somebody told me it was City Vending, but on the appraisal district website, it tells you the actual company name. But Tom McAvoy was the owner, and he, I believe, was out of state when this happened because he posted on Facebook, "We will be coming back to Texas, regrouping and rebuilding." And that was yesterday morning, shortly after the fire. So I'm sure that they're still deciding what they can do and when they can do it and where, those things.
But that's a lot of history. Like, I mean, we're talking about, the history of Dallas and this thing that's going on in City Hall. Like, that's a lot of history that burnt down with that building. I mean, we were just talking about it during the break. Like, before it was Rainbow Lounge, it was 651. You said that you had your first date.
Yeah, my first kind of date. It wasn't an official date, but kind of date.
Pseudo date. You go to a bar, you have drinks. It's not really a date, but you're like,
And somebody else is there with you.
yeah, somebody, yeah.
651, yeah.
But there's a lot of history, and I know Robert Carmina did the raid of the Rainbow Lounge,
Right.
when that happened. So I mean, there's a lot of history that burnt down with that, and I really hope that somebody has captured all of these events, kind of like what we did for our history for that building, because it has such a rich history.
And I think what is kind of reaffirms what you're saying is, we've got raid on the Rainbow Lounge. Robert Camina did an excellent documentary. And we do have history. And one of the things about the exhibit downtown was, they talk about the Village Station raid of, I think, 1978.
78 or 79, I believe.
And so this is just another another
Yeah.
notch in history. The Rainbow Lounge raid was very important,
Yeah, because it was more current.
especially
Yeah,
in Texas.
Yes,
And in Fort
Texas.
Worth.
And in Fort.
And
Fort
Fort
Worth,
Worth,
it created,
yes.
it changed that city.
It did.
I live in Fort Worth, and it changed the city. It changed how the city interacts with our community. It was, and if you read the story in our paper that I wrote in the paper that came out today, a comment from Joel Burns, who was on the city council then, our first openly gay city councilman. He said, this was our generation, and I think Carol West said something similar. This was our generation's Stonewall. This was Fort Worth's Stonewall
It
Inn.
was.
Where we just wouldn't
We
take it
lost-
anymore.
The building itself, that name, Rainbow Lounge, that's an icon. That's a historical thing. And this is where we stood up in Fort Worth and fought back. And I don't know if you guys remember back when it all happened in 2009, and almost 8 years ago. 8 years ago this month. Is that right? Yes, 8 years ago this month. I have to add real quick. There was some pushback. You know, there were some folks from some street activists, from very provocative street activists from Dallas who were going to go over and stage all these things. And the people in Fort Worth were like, y'all shut up. Come over and support us. But we're doing this, and we're going to do it the way we do it in the Fort Worth way.
Well, looking back and seeing, like with this, the exhibit, and then us talking about how it was this one bar and then it turned into another bar, and all of these incidences happening, I really do hope that it shows everyone in general out there that no matter what you do, no matter how many times it's set ablaze and set on fire, we always come back. You can't get rid of us.
We're
Can't
phoenixes.
burn us out.
Exactly.
We're phoenixes.
The phoenix always rises. It
Uh-huh.
does.
Right.
It
That's
does.
right.
It does.
That's a
So
very
So I hope
good.
it repeats yet
Yeah.
again with this. It's
Well,
just going to become a bigger and better place.
If you look in our history, the Roundup burned down
Mm-hmm.
and it was rebuilt.
all
The
of-
Village Station or the old plantation burned down and it arose from the ashes as well. And Fort Worth is a thriving city, and it needs a Rainbow Lounge, and another one will emerge. I'm confident in it.
And one of the things I do want to point out is that somebody said, "Oh, Fort Worth's only gay bar," and it's not.
no,
No,
At all.
Uh-uh.
It's not. There's across the street is Reflections. There's
Right.
Urban Cowboy.
Good friends,
Yeah.
good friends, good Betties.
Best
Best
friends.
friends.
But that's Best Friends. It's not there anymore. It's
It's not
called
there anymore,
Urban.
right.
New people on that. It's called Urban Cowboy.
Urban
and
Cowboy.
across the road is
Yep.
Changes.
Tammy's
Yep.
house.
The
Those are
gay
after
Mecca,
parties.
Fort Worth.
Just give Sandra plenty of time to cook. So,
Yeah.
but there's a lot going on in Fort Worth. But that's where
I
the
love
Rainbow
Fort Worth.
Lounge. I do too. Rainbow Lounge. That raid is what gave us Fairness Fort Worth. In Fairness Fort Worth, we had Tom Annable, who's no longer with us. Then we had David Mack Henderson, who died last year, of cancer. But there were a lot of people involved in that. But Tom first, and then David kind of headed things up. And they gave us this organization, and that organization is what was standing there to fight with Dan Patrick last year when he came up here running his mouth about transgender students in the bathrooms. And
He's still doing it.
oh yes,
Yeah.
and that Fairness Fort Worth has got the city, or they led the fight to get the city over there to include transgender people in their policies and insurance, and they did all of the training and.
Well, it
Just
took
because
something
of them.
like the raid at the Rainbow Lounge, and then somebody like Robert making a documentary about it and making it even having more exposure, that just made that connection between our community and the authorities, where there probably wasn't one before, where they're like, oh, it's just the gay people, go and do this, and then we did something about it that made them open their eyes and go, oh.
It was
We
right
spoke
on.
up. We
Yeah.
spoke up and said, we're not going to let you do this to us. And so we made a documentary, our community, and then we showed it and we shared it.
And
that's
yelled
how
and
cha-
screamed and
Exactly.
protested.
I mean, and that's how change is made,
And the documentary, Robert Camino started that documentary the day within hours
Yeah.
of the
Yeah.
raid,
Uh-huh.
because
Yeah, he did.
he and I were there together. We were talking, standing there on the patio. But don't as important as the documentary is, don't forget the work that the people on the ground in Fort Worth were doing, the Fairness Fort Worth
Yeah.
people, and the reaching out to Jeff Halstead, who was the chief of police at the time, who had, who started out really on the wrong foot and turned around, and he's like, yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
You know,
And also
It's
the victim, the guy who got
Chad.
the brain thing.
Yeah,
you know,
and
he was hurt
you
really
know,
bad.
I believe, I can't say this for sure. I believe that there's like a permanent disability because of that injury that happened to him. The TABC changed its policies because of this. There is an LGBT liaison on the Fort Worth Police Department now because of this. You know, they appointed a liaison so a lot of things about activism in Fort Worth currently were born at Rainbow Lounge, and you know, so it was very difficult for a lot of people to see that happen there.
Yeah.
You
I
know?
really do hope the younger generation sees that and knows, oh yeah, you know, because of these people that are a generation ahead of us, they really made it so much easier for me. Not that it's easy, but it's easier because of the things
I think
that
they're
we've done.
getting a handle on it with our current.
Administration.
I think they
Yes.
are too. I think
they're getting
think
it
they're
now.
getting a dose
They're getting it now.
of really the struggle that we've
Yep.
had for 40 years.
Yep.
For me personally, 40 years, and that struggle has been going on a lot longer than that.
What are the 40s like? I'm not there yet.
I don't know. I just turned 40.
I can't remember. That's been too long. So,
yeah.
but
they're
yeah,
getting
and
it.
every generation. I mean, Rainbow Lounge was kind of like our Stonewall Inn. You know, Fort Worth, North Texas. Our generation, that was a Stonewall Inn for us. We were not there. You know, there's Stonewall, and then, you know, there were things going on before Stonewall that a lot of us don't even stop and think about. You know, they had marches outside the White House in like '65. They had marches in Philadelphia. You know, there was a lot of stuff that people don't know
It's
about.
really too bad that there wasn't social media back then, because then we would realize how much stuff happened back then. It just wasn't caught on camera,
Yeah.
whether it was video or photography.
Now you have to read books.
They call that library.
See, that's
Right.
what I just said. But yeah, you have to
Exactly,
read
yeah.
books.
Actually,
you have to go back in newspapers.
I found something, and it was from a library, but I found it online, and like 1930 something or 20 something, some guy in Chicago who was like this huge activist, you know, and nobody even knew his name, but he was doing amazing things back then.
We should
So.
make a movie out of it.
All right, and Israel's clock is beeping, and it's time for our second break of the day. So I'm not sure what we're going to hear this time, but watch it and
Something.
stay and come back when we're done. All right.
Y'all come back now. You hear?
I love how detailed.
In the old days, when you wanted a home or auto insurance quote, you called an insurance agency and they would give you a quote from the company they represented. But when you call the Stephen Graves Insurance Agency, Stephen gets quotes from all the companies he represents, bringing you the best coverage at the best possible price. For home or auto,
Call 877-599-5555. Graves Insurance.
Okay, y'all, welcome back. And first and foremost, emergency alert, flash flood warning this area till 6:15 p.m. Avoid flood areas.
Yeah, it's really bad out there, guys.
Don't drive
Meaning
into
my pantalones?
Always.
don't drive into the floods, y'all. That's a stupid thing to do. All right,
It's so easy to do that, though. You know, I'll admit it. Yesterday, I was driving down the highway, and I got off like near Munger, and there was like this great big water thing, and I mean, I was going like 45 miles an hour, and I just went, and
Richard likes
I
to
did
live on the
kind of go
edge.
through it, but I really worried about my car for a minute.
Yeah.
I was like,
that,
oh my
you get
God.
that temporary floating fee, and you're like, oh my
Wow.
God.
It's such a bad idea right now that I'm
Well,
in the
then I was
middle of
worried
it.
about all that water going up and then stalling and
Floating down river.
I mean,
Don't
it really
be a
is-
Richard.
It really is easy to
Don't be a
do.
Richard.
I felt like a boy.
Do you feel real butch?
I did. No, I felt like a boy. I felt like, you know, there was the water puddle and I'm in this great big car, so I'm gonna drive through the water.
Your nature as a man.
Yeah. Stomp on it. Only drive through it.
feel
in my
that way
great
every
big
day.
car.
I'm gonna mention this real quick. We have Greg Castillo from the Roundup Saloon. He's a bartender there, and he won the local contest for the #1 Bar Star Bartender Championship kind of thing. So he gets to go. It's Stoli and Bayou Rum. Traveled across North America. They're sponsoring this contest, and the finalists get to go to Key West to compete. If you go online, and I believe the website is on our website, it's not in the paper. Go online and vote for him, and that helps him skip the preliminary rounds and go to the finals, or skip the first round, and if he gets enough votes. And the thing is, he has the opportunity to win several $1,000s, but that money is not going in his pocket, nor in Israel's. That money is going to go to Legacy Counseling Center, so that's
Now,
a good cause.
What's the competition? They're doing what? Because I know
It's
he's
a bartending.
so like
Yeah.
cool, like
And it's
Cocktail
sponsored
Tom
by
Cruise kinda
a
stuff?
liquor or
Yeah,
a
they
liquor.
don't really do flair.
A liquor company.
Like it's not really flair based.
It's not flair. You have to create.
You have to create.
You have to create several different types of bar drinks based on the liquor sponsor. I believe it's Stoli.
And like random.
Stoli,
Sometimes
yeah.
you have to pull like a random ingredient and
It's
like
Stoli and
include,
Bayou rum.
like pear or
So you would love to have him at a party.
nopalitas or
Yeah.
exactly.
And it really isn't about flair, but you do have to have a personality.
You have to have
you
a certain je ne sais
je ne sais
quoi.
quoi. and you do have to make a presentation.
Gotcha.
So
Yeah.
and we've had a former Dallas winner, Mikey Wynn from
He won the
TMC.
overall.
He
won-
won
sure, he won the
a couple
overall.
years
And
ago.
that's what they're saying. Let's bring it back home to Dallas.
Let's do
Yeah.
it. Let's bring it back home
So
to
go
Big
vote
D.
for him.
Yeah. And real quick, before we go to the next topic that Israel wants to talk about, Cedar Grove Restaurant, which was at the Illume on Cedar Springs Road, closed rather precipitously on Tuesday.
Meaning quickly.
Yes.
The
They just
tutelage.
all of a sudden closed up. And they had drag brunch was on Sunday, and I think by Tuesday it was cleaned out, you know.
Wow.
Yeah, I saw that on Facebook.
Yeah, but drag brunch with Jenny P, and I think Crystal Summers performs there, and I'm not sure there's a
They have
couple
a lot of
others.
special guests.
Yeah.
Mhm.
They had already planned to start once a month at Victor Tango's, which is over in the Knox Henderson
And if
area.
you've never been there, it is one of my favorite,
Is it?
Candace and I's favorite restaurants in Dallas. The food
I
there
love
is
it when Victor sings.
I love it.
I
when
really
Vic-
do. I
but it's-
love Victor.
It's a really great restaurant. The food is good. The drinks are good. And now that they're bringing in the LGBTQ element, I think it's going to be even better.
I
So
think one of
the-
the great things about that restaurant is you can really feel a passion in there
And the food and the drink and everything.
and
Like,
the
it's just-
atmosphere.
it is-
It's
it is.
so
awesome.
low key. But when you go in, I really believe you can feel the passion that's
Yeah.
there.
I think they're going to be really good together. Drag brunch and Victor Tango's.
Okay, and the first
five,
the
Jenny.
first one the first one is on June 11th, and they will have once a month, I believe. Possibly the June 11th event is booked, but if you really want to go ahead and call and see if maybe you can squeeze in. I don't know, but then they have the next one coming up. So
And it's got to be a lot harder to get a reservation there because the Victor Tango is what, a quarter of the size.
Yeah, it is.
Hopefully it'll open their eyes up to like some really cool, fun, like drag show stuff to a new,
Especially in that area,
clientele.
that Henderson Knox area, because there hasn't been any kind of beauty bars down there, but they don't really have any drag shows. Or
But you
anything
know,
down there.
we'll talk about history. Do you remember the Desert Moon?
yeah, absolutely,
The Desert
Sylvia.
Moon was directly behind Victor Tango's,
Okay.
and it was a gay bar, probably from the early '70s to the almost early '90s. Probably no, not almost. It was one of my very first drag performances was at the Desert Moon in probably '91.
and I was born in the early 90s.
And you look like hell.
Richard,
Flash
you
flood
favorite
bullshit
person.
alert. Put on your boots,
But-
don't drive into the deep areas.
But that area of Knox Henderson used to be really,
Wow.
really
Very
gay.
gay. Very gay.
That's so awesome to hear. So they're just kind of using that energy. That's awesome.
Was it Barbara? Was that one of the first Desert Moon owners? I think her name was Barbara, and I'm
Barbara.
sorry I can't remember. And then she got out of it, and Sylvia, a friend of mine named Sylvia,
I remember
the
Sylvia.
artist. She is an amazing artist, and she took over for a while.
I
We
wonder
used
if
to
that
have
had-
pool tournaments over there.
There was a movie that I saw as a kid called Desert Moon, and it was a lesbian film, and it was on HBO. I wonder if there was any connection.
I don't
between
think it
the
was
two.
Desert Moon. It was Desert Hearts.
Desert
yeah.
Right.
Ask the real lesbian.
That's
knows.
the old lesbian.
the real lesbian.
That's the old lesbian. That's I
Nice.
remember. Yes, Desert Hearts.
I loved that bar.
It was great. I loved
I
it.
really did. I love that bar.
And
That's
and
cool.
she always did paintings whenever Melissa Etheridge was coming into town. Sylvia would do a painting, and then she would go and I think she would take it to Melissa and get Melissa to sign it. They became friends, and then they would auction this painting off a lot of the
Nice.
times. Yeah, it was cool.
Very cool.
So, speaking of restaurants,
Israel.
talk to us, Israel.
Yeah, well, okay, so I have a little inner conflict here. So if I blush, it's because I'm not sure how to handle this, which is very rare.
It's not
for me.
about airplanes, though.
Yeah, it's not about airplanes.
It's not about airplanes.
The doctor deserved it. I was reading your post.
He really did.
that you posted a couple of days ago about an incident that had happened because
Week or so, yeah.
I don't know what they're called. I say racks, but I always
It's a
think
rack.
It's, okay,
A
so
newspaper rack, not a.
a newspaper rack that was at the Glorias, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And what had happened, and then I can fill in the blanks of what I want to talk about.
It happened about a year and a half ago. I think it started with the, and I didn't know this until like last week, or was it week before last? It was recently. The manager, I think there was a new manager at the Bishop Arts area Glorias, and she told our distribution manager she did not want the Voice in there anymore. She didn't want that paper in there, and so, we removed the rack, and then a similar situation happened with Gloria's on Lemon. So there have been no Dallas Voice papers available in those restaurants. And so our distribution managers told me this, and I didn't realize when she told me that it had been a year and a half. And I'm like, oh, I just heard this, and I guess I won't be eating there anymore. And I just posted it on my personal Facebook.
But didn't you post like a reason, like they didn't want people to think that it was a gay establishment or something that referred to something
they just didn't want they didn't want the gay paper in
a
there.
gay paper in there. Okay,
Yeah.
right. So when I read that,
Oh, well, let me finish this real quick,
Yes.
because I want to point out that somebody who knew the owner saw several. I mean, that post just
Yeah,
caught
it did it,
fire,
yeah.
went crazy, and several people reposted it. And somebody that knew the owner saw it and said, "Hey, I can't believe he would allow this," and contacted the owner, who immediately called us and said, "Hey, we don't want anybody to think gay people are not welcome in our restaurants. We want the paper there." He says the gay community built Gloria's. They were there for us when nobody else was there. So we are back in the Gloria's restaurants now. Okay, and I don't want anybody to be mad at Gloria's.
Right.
So, but tell us your embarrassing story.
Well, when I saw your post, I thought to myself, I have a rack of the Dallas Voice in my lobby here at Spayse Studios. This is an entertainment-based studio, and from all of the clientele that we have right now and all of our tenants, there isn't much of a, quote, gay community here right now. Which I'm wanting to change that.
Yeah.
So there
we're
have
here.
been a couple of times.
Yeah, exactly. You are the queen.
Exactly. Now, I have seen a couple of people like walk in and out of the studio, and they look at the paper and they grab one, and then they just kind of look through it, and then they put it down because they're not gay. And when I read your post, I thought, as a business owner, not as myself, as Israel Luna, the very out gay man, how do I have to have a concern of people, a lot of the straight community coming in and looking at the paper, and that being the only paper there that we have? And I thought, well, maybe it might make me feel a little better if I had the Observer next to it. And then I thought, is that bad for me to even think about, to have like a slight 1% concern that people might think, ooh, this is a gay studio as opposed to just a general production studio?
Yes, we
Okay,
hate you
so-
and we'll never be back. No, seriously.
Deuces.
Yeah. So I mean, I really need to know: should I change what's going on?
I don't think it's a problem to have a wall of available papers and magazines that are available. And in fact, because I just got back from Paris, I found a lot of the local rags that were all together.
Got it.
And so I don't feel like this business is gay, but I don't feel like it's straight either. And I don't think that you're discriminatory about it. About what I mean.
I have the sticker.
You introduced me to someone who's going to have a massage studio here, and so I mean, all of a sudden, I mean, you're not just film anymore. You are providing a service for people to come together, and I think that you should have a wall of all of the available.
I agree.
papers of the-
Absolutely.
I agree.
And at the moment, because I only have one, and it's the quote gay paper, and the fact that reading your post kind of brought that up. I thought, am I a terrible person for even thinking this? Should there be no concern whatsoever that I only have one paper and it's gay, and I shouldn't think, oh, I should have more papers to balance it out?
I pick up the
We're gonna have
Dallas
to come
Voice.
back. We're
I
gonna have to
pick
come
up
back on that
the
one, 'cause
Observer, and I
yeah,
pick up Paper
look.
City
Yeah.
regularly.
Yeah. Let us go to a break real quick, but we will come back and we can talk about this some more, okay?
And I'm prepared to take it from Brandon.
Y'all come back after the break. Okay.
Did you say on camera?
Everybody, welcome back. Israel's playing with the clock with an L in there. Clock.
You know, it's really funny. When I was working at Station 4 once, there was an article in
upon
the
a
New York Post that the word bitch was being banned in the workplace, especially on like Madison Avenue. And in this article, it was talking about the influx of gay men into really high-level professional workplaces. And
Like that was new?
and but out.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
But
out.
out. And so women, white women specifically, 40 plus, were offended by a lot of the dialect of gay men
bitch. Yeah.
calling each other bitch or referring to other people like, ooh, bitch, no, girl, what? And so there was
one
an
of our
article in the New York Post.
On one of our previous shows, when we had on Rational Broadcasting, we had an entire conversation with just the word bitch. Remember?
Really?
It's like, bitch,
Bitch.
Yeah.
And so we were talking about, this in the office about, oh my God, can you imagine if we had to ban the word bitch right here in this workplace? And at that moment, someone walked in the back door and said, "Hey, bitch!" And we busted out laughing. So, telling Israel, set that timer, bitch.
This is the fun stuff that happens in between the breaks.
Yeah, there's always stuff in the middle.
Tammy shows her true colors.
So
And they're rainbow.
So Brandy, I'm prepared. I have my mental armor up.
We're going back to the whole idea of the gay papers and businesses, and is that good?
Because
bad?
I felt guilty that I was thinking to myself, what if people think, especially right now, because it was the summer issue, so there's 2 half-naked men in Speedos on the paper, and that's the only paper in my lobby for people to walk in and out and see. I felt semi-guilty for thinking that.
I don't necessarily think that you should feel guilty, but I'm wondering. I want to question why you felt that way. Like as a gay man, why did you feel? I get it that you're part business owner, you're part gay man, but like, why did you feel like
part
you
business
should,
owner, all gay man.
all gay man?
man, yeah.
But why did you feel the need to placate and pacify? As opposed to, because like obviously Gloria's didn't do that with us. I mean, like Tammy said on the break, in case y'all didn't know, they took out none of the other newspapers. They only took out the Dallas Voice.
Right.
So here is a queer business, owner and manager. So I'm curious as to what that flux is for you.
I feel because of the ignorance of certain people
But that's
that
not your
might walk in.
problem.
Correct.
It is his problem if it affects his business.
Yeah. I don't want them to think, oh, this is only a gay people kind of thing. I'm going to go to the studio right next door, which they could.
Israel has grown up.
So it has nothing to do with how I feel about myself or gay people. That's why the first thing that I did was to put a little rainbow sticker on the front saying we are all inclusive. But I just, I see certain rappers, for example, come in and they have all this jewelry.
So would
and they
you
come
feel
with
the
their
same
entourage.
way, like if you had just a brown, like a Spanish paper? Like, would you feel the same
Yeah,
way?
I
you
would.
So you
I
would
would.
feel like if it was any kind of you would feel that way if it wasn't mainstream.
If it was the only one,
Okay.
then I would feel weird. Even if I just had like D magazine, I would think, well, I don't want
You would
everyone
still
to
feel weird?
I would feel weird
Okay.
because I would think, well, what if people think that it's all Highland Park rich bitches that come in
then
here?
that answers
I
your
want the
if-
indie people to come in here too.
And so that answers the question in and of itself. So
You
you
said
shouldn't feel
bitch.
bad because because you would be that equally across the board. I
Yeah.
think when it boils down to is the intention behind it. Like Gloria's clearly had an intention to,
Certain management.
certain management, not
Who may or
Gloria's
may
as-
not even
yes.
be there anymore.
Yes, certain management felt the need to pull, the gay newspaper, but you're not. You're going around equally. So I think that there's the intent to censor.
Would you
and
really feel the same way if it was just D magazine? Would you? I mean, and I'm not questioning your veracity on it, but I am sort of questioning your veracity on it. Would you really feel the same way with just D magazine? Because D magazine really, it is so homogenized that no one will have a negative reaction to D magazine.
I do.
But well,
I mean, but you are going to pick up the Dallas Voice.
I do.
And so at some point, we're not really talking about you.
That's true.
You know what I'm saying?
is
But
true,
see,
though.
for D-
Because the people that are going to be
But then-
offended
but
by
I would
D
wanna
magazine
come
are
in
going to
here,
be
though.
really limited.
But like if I saw that, yeah, but like I'm still representational of a writer and an artist, of an
Sure.
avant artist community that's trying to find their home. And if I saw that, I would automatically think, this isn't my home.
This is a
This-
Trump
this-
supporting.
Exactly. This is a
Right.
more boot, like this is typical Dallas.
To me, it's a
Yeah.
business
yeah,
thing.
Yeah,
It's-
And
Okay,
so-
and that's kind of my point.
Yeah,
Typical
it's
Dallas.
typical
And that's
Dallas.
why I ask you. I mean, would you really be offended, or really be having the conversation about the D magazine if it was the only one?
Yes, because
Same.
my marketing, the people that I'm marketing to are the indie people that might not necessarily have a lot of money.
Okay.
And so if is my microphone still on? I don't feel.
I can
can't
hear you.
I can
myself
I
anymore.
can hear you
Oh, okay.
loud and clear.
What?
Is I want them to know that they can come here and that we are for them.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I can think of somebody like, for perfect example is Shannon. If they were to Shannon were to walk in being an indie filmmaker and producer, and he sees D magazine, he's going to think, ooh, this place is going to be too expensive for me, so I'm going to go somewhere else. So it would be the same way, just in a different way.
Let's. There's an elephant in the room, and I don't mean a Republican. I just mean an issue
Is it
we're not
you?
talking about. There's. Let's talk about the fact that we're talking about a gay paper. If people come in here and there's a Hispanic or an African American centric thing, or
That's
even the D magazine
what I'm
thing,
saying,
let's talk.
like-
Nobody's gonna think that's sinful.
That's my whole point.
And that's my point too.
That's my point. Like
there
like
is
I-
that, and that's even within us.
Yeah.
All of
No,
us,
that's true, yeah.
somewhere inside us, if we were not raised by lesbian hippies
I
in a
wanna be raised by
commune.
lesbian hip.
Oh Lord, I don't, because they would only eat tofu. And got to have some bacon.
It's not the only thing, baby.
But you know what
There's
I'm
soy
saying.
bacon.
We all have something inside
Yeah.
us from.
We all have
something.
learned behavior that we have
That's it,
learned
learned
Yeah.
to
behavior.
exercise.
Because
we
of
do, yeah.
the society in general, the dominant culture that most of us grew up with. You're probably on the lower edge of that, but me and that young one over there, and
Well, this does make me feel better, because I did feel guilty after I saw your post. I thought, "Ugh, I'm going to bring this up on the next show because I really want to talk about this." Now, I do think that I would feel better about it as a business person if I had like The Observer and I had another magazine for people to know, oh, hey,
It's
I'm
all included.
Everyone
gay,
is
or,
welcome.
Hey, this is a hip hop magazine. This is
Yeah.
a Highland Park Rich Bitch magazine. I want all of them because I want to cater to all of them. Yeah. Because if they see one that doesn't make them feel at home, like you said, Brandy,
Yeah.
they see another magazine that
exactly
does.
and it's all about being inclusive, and I get that. I get that as a business owner, you want to show inclusivity, and by only having one, it doesn't feel that way, or it doesn't come across that way.
Okay,
When I read the story the first time, I was a little astounded by it because of where the restaurants were.
Exactly.
One being on Lemon Avenue, right there in the heart of Oak Lawn,
Yeah.
and then one being in the Bishop Arts, which is and then you've got one in Uptown.
In Uptown, yeah.
And so
Which
if-
wouldn't have been possible if
they
the one at Lemon
removed
wasn't
it
doing
from
so good.
Addison. I think that I would have more of a greater understanding on it.
but we're being
and with you,
gentrified
really. I
as
mean,
a
you were out
community
here
out
on
of
Regal
Oak
Row
Lawn.
and 35, and I think at some point, I'm sure you've heard it, Tammy, where someone says, "Well, we'd love to carry it, but it doesn't serve our customer base," and so I understand where someone would say, "Well, it really doesn't. No
It's not
one's
our
gonna
audience.
pick it up here."
Yeah.
And if they do, it is a very small percentage of our audience or our customer base. And so I do think it's up to a business owner to really decide what is right for them and their customers. And again, right there in Oak Lawn and Bishop Arts, it just didn't make any sense.
Yeah, and I don't know. I think these were new managers in both locations when this happened, and maybe thought, we're going to change things around. We're going to attract a different audience. So I don't know what their thing
But
was,
that makes me feel good that the owner was like,
they were
no,
very
like,
adamant.
This is like that
very
makes
adamant.
me feel good.
He did not
Like,
realize that had happened.
That's
so.
awesome.
And I wanted to say something to you about feeling guilty. The fact that you thought that and then you felt guilty about thinking that means that you're on the right track. Anybody who could think that and never think twice about it. Oh,
I agree.
I don't want everybody to think this is just a homo place. So I'm gonna have to no, we're gonna hide it, or we gonna not
right.
have
I
it,
agree.
or something.
I
But
think
you
it-
thought about it; it occurred to you. So
And I think if
that
more
makes a
people
difference.
question themselves, like regardless
That's
of
the
what
answer.
of what it is, whether it's a newspaper, whether it's beliefs, whether it's if we question ourselves more, then we get to know you get to know who you are a little bit better, and then you can start making better decisions and not being offended by everything.
I want to
Like,
run through some.
opinions.
I want to run through some calendar stuff here real quick because we're getting low on time. Tonight at S4 Metro Ball with David Hernandez will open, and then CeCe Peniston will sing, and then Taylor
Finally,
Dane
It's
happening to me out of my face, and I just
and Taylor Dane.
tell it to my heart. Tell me I'm the only one.
And
Is
you
it
can see the
really
actual people
love
sing
or
those
just
tonight.
a game? Why
We sound
would
just
you?
like her, right? We
I
sound
thought I was
Um,
at the concert. I thought I was at Metro Ball. I was going like that. And I thought it was 1984 again.
Yeah.
See? There you go.
Turtle Creek Corral in Your Dreams concert series begins. I think it's this weekend. That's going to be an important thing. They are addressing important issues, and one of the main ones is meth use in our community. We talked about it last week. We had a story in last week's paper.
Never
Tomorrow,
used math.
tomorrow, the Black Tie Brunch. This is I think it's $100 a person. So it's all the proceeds from this also go to the Black Tie beneficiaries. Tomorrow, June 3rd, is also Bloomin' Ball, which is AIDS Interfaith
That
Network.
sounds dirty.
I love a blooming ball.
Not that kind of ball. Next weekend, on next Friday, June 9th, is the Calcutta and Caddy auction. I think it's at Suitland. I can't remember where. But it's all part of the Fairway to Equality Golf Tournament weekend. That's another fundraising thing for the local HRC group. June 10th, North Texas Pride, the Gay and Lesbian Association of North Texas. That's up in Collin County. June 10th and 11th, there's an organization it's a nonprofit called Men Having Babies. They will be having a surrogacy conference and expo
Men
here in
having
Dallas.
babies?
That's cool.
Men having babies, not like birthing babies,
Oh.
but starting families.
Gotcha.
And as part of their weekend event, they're going to have an equality rally on Sunday that's open to the public. That's also happening coinciding with the marches that are happening that day. June 10th, East Texas Pride celebrations happen in Longview, and then the weekend after that, we'll be having the Dallas Southern Pride organization is going to be holding their Juneteenth celebration. I am ashamed to say I cannot think of the name of it right now, but we will have somebody we're going to have stories in the paper about that, and we will have hopefully somebody from their organization on our show
Awesome.
too.
Nice.
So
hope
that's
so.
a lot of stuff coming up. There's more. Pick up the Voice, read the Gay Agenda, read the calendar in the back, best bets for arts and entertainment. So we have to go to break, and then we'll be back. Y'all come back.
Yeah.
on the air.
Did I say that? Anyway, welcome
You've
back.
tried so many times. It's been
Welcome,
inseminated.
welcome back for our last couple of minutes here on today's episode of DVTV in Space. We'll wrap it up and let everybody say goodbye
Oh,
for the day. Israel,
hi, everybody. Have a really great weekend. If you would like your own show, you can email us at spacestudios@gmail.com, SPAYSE, and go to spacestudios.com. Wait, Gmail. Never mind. I'm done.
just Google it, y'all. Ask the Googles lady.
You can find me on Facebook, Richard D. Curtin, Curtin on Facebook, and Edna Jean Dallas on Instagram and at Edna Jean Dallas. One of the things that I want to talk about just briefly is
This is
a
2
new
minutes, by the way.
nonprofit in June.
Oh, okay.
It's called Feed Oak Cliff, and it's
cool.
bringing healthy food choices to southern Dallas. And they really need support, and they're having an event in June. I want to say it's June 11th, but it's a really small little group, and they're trying really hard to feed the people who need food. And
Send me that
feed-
information.
Yes,
I'll
the
put it on my
information.
website. Okay.
They have an
Thank you.
email address on here, feedoakcliff@gmail.com.
That's awesome.
Okay.
Nice.
Hi, thank you. I hope your Saturday is as fantastic as your Friday. Is that what they used to say at Dixie
Happy
House?
Friday. Hope your Saturday's just as good.
That's what I was trying to say. You can find me at brandyamarskye.com, Facebook, and all those other social places, Brandy Amar Sky.
And congratulations, Brandy, on all your writing accomplishments
Yes.
and
Yeah.
accolades.
Thank
And
you.
and I am Tammy Nash. I'm managing editor for Dallas Voice, dallasvoice.com, Nash at dallasvoice.com. And you can also find me at home on the couch watching TV. Yeah. All right.
What are you watching on
Oh.
TV right now?
I don't know. Actually, I've just spent the last week or so reading American Gods, and it's amazing. And I haven't seen the show, but the
I
TV.
can't-
It's
I just
68
can't
degrees
read.
Fahrenheit. It's wonderful. Anyway, but tomorrow you can find me at my youngest son's high school graduation. So
Congratulations.
yes, he's 18 and
Awesome.
not like he's going to leave home or anything, but he's graduating. So thank y'all for tuning in for
Thank
DVTV in
you.
Space. We'll see you next week. Y'all come back now. You hear?
Yeah, here?
Have a good week.